Tcl Qm8K. We're going to be talking about whether it's a good TV, bad TV. So far in the review process, we're going to be taking requests as to what you want to see further on. And in addition to that, we're going to be answering all of the weekly questions. Now, some of the questions that I have been receiving this week about the TCL specifically has been, how is motion? How is local dimming? Like the list of a bunch of different facets of this television, how is it? So we're going to be talking about that. First thing I would like to say though is as far as motion goes, I think motion is pretty good. I don't see any dirty screen effect, any weird things happening from an artifact perspective when you use motion processing. It's just clean motion. Now, it's not like the best motion I've ever seen, but it's clean, right? And I think that's a really good thing for a lot of people that want good motion, that don't like all the jitters and stutters and things like that. Well, then you have that with this particular display. Another thing about the Tcl Qm8K that I think absolutely dwarfs pretty much every TV I've seen in 2025 is the design. I am not joking when I tell you, when you open it up out of the box and you're going through the motions of setting it up, the presentation is what they really took attention to this year, and I've got to give them the respect on that. I really do. Where every other brand is literally just lazily slapping your television inside some sort of garbage cardboard box, no graphics, no nothing. They take the time to print on the outside of the box so you know clearly what you're looking at, very visually appealing. You open up the box, it's packed to go through the shipping process, which is nice. It's very hard, thick, robust cardboard that it has to go through before anything. So shipping, not going to be a problem. The other thing is when you start going through everything and you start looking at the accessories, they have their own little bags, the little Ziploc bags, everything. And then you look at the design. And the design of the thing is really what blew me away. I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. Like the $2,500 TVs these days don't even come this nice. And then I saw the remote and they've upgraded it. It's a nice, sleek metal remote with, it just looked good. And when you have a TV that looks that good, that's the part where I'm like, all right, let's see what it is. Turn it on. Picture definitely had potential there for sure. Now, on like, again, because we're not just glazing, right? We're not just being positive for the sake of being positive. There are some things I don't particularly like. Color, for me, the lack of vibrancy is huge. Every year TCL has this issue. I don't know what it is, don't know why it is, but that quantum dot pop where it feels, the only way to equate it to anything is it's like bioluminescence. I've been saying it for well over a decade now. When you have a TV that hits really good, it gives a bioluminescent type of glow behind your color to where they almost look, I wouldn't say neon, but like they have a more like self-emissive feeling to them, where without that, it just feels like a TV that's colorful. And I think this feels more like a TV that's colorful, but colors aren't like giving you that impactful glow, that three-dimensional glow behind their color volume. And I think that's impressive. Now, that is not to be mistaken for like oversaturation or making colors look bad. It's literally just a chef's kiss. And I think TVs that do that, again, I always tell you when I see them, this is not going to be one of those TVs. So far in SDR, have not touched HDR yet. That is going to be coming. But I really want to get SDR down before we start looking at HDR and things of that nature. Now, I want to welcome everybody that's coming on in. I'm going to read some of the comments that we have so far. The Christian Conservative, welcome. Thanks for coming tonight. You said, is it as good as you thought it would be picture-wise, or a little disappointed? So far, I think it's in line with what I expected from TCL. I wasn't expecting like a reinvention of the wheel. As far as black levels go, they are giving me all the black levels that I could have wanted. I'm not at any point in time looking at the black levels and thinking, you know what, it could have been better. I think especially for mini LED technology, about as good as you need, really. It's right there next to my OLED, the S95F, and it's just as inky and deep. Some hiccups here and there. Yes, I have a local dimming video that I will be posting to show exactly what I'm talking about, the issues with local dimming, how you get around them, things like that. The little weird quirks you have to study a TV, Every TV is different. It's like a thumbprint, Everyone's going to do something different quirk-wise. So finding those little things and accommodating for them, that's what we were doing. And I think it arrived at a good point. But, I think it's in line. Not disappointed. With anything other than the lack of the sharpness and clarity that I saw in the Hisense, that was just next level sharpness. It just was. Hisense didn't have the black levels though. So this gives you the black levels, but not the clarity and the sharpness. So I'm like, eh. And then they also don't have that vibrant pop that the Hisense U8QG had, and that kind of sucks. Again, we'll see if we can fix that, but so far it's vibrant, but it's not that level of vibrant. But then Hisense has a really blue color temperature that's almost undefeatable, period. So it's like, well, now you're back at square one in kind of the same boat. So yeah, not my favorite thing. What's going on, Sanders? Sander, thanks for coming out tonight. Audio Maniac, what's going on, brother? You said, hey Q, I was considering the QM8K over the LG C4. Your thoughts? I think, I think the TCL is the smarter buy for sure. If you're not sitting off angle, because obviously you're not going to have perfect angles or as close to that as you can get, even though OLEDs don't, because they have some weird tinting issues that happen off angle. So it's a whole mess. But I'd say the viewing angles are really the big thing, especially with something like the C4. This TCL easily blow it away. Easily. The brightness alone will impress you to the point of taking your breath away. Again, I told you guys in my video, especially, like I was looking forward to maybe replacing my living room TV, which for reference is a Hisense U8G 65-inch. So, I mean, it's got big shoes to fill, but then I go out there and I look at my U8G and I'm like, but that's a gorgeous picture too. So you end up in this weird spot. The only thing I don't like about Hisense with their TVs are dumb. They're just dumb TVs. Like, you'll have to unplug it and plug it back in because it can't pick up the Wi-Fi, or apps will freeze and they won't load the right way. And if you're using it as a living room main hub for everybody for convenience, not really the TV you want to have for that. It's great for just HDMI type of devices, but that's where I'm looking around for a different TV, because for the smart features, the U8G just doesn't have it. I haven't tested the newer Hisenses long term, but I'd imagine it'd be about the same if I were to guess. I personally would not take that chance, having experienced it one way already. So as at the risk of jading anybody, that's what I'd say there. But as far as like the smart features on LG, the smart features on TCL, I think between the C4 and the QM8K especially, the QM8K just pulls ahead. It really does, in terms of giving you a ton of options that we don't usually get. Like the sound system, for example, the ways you can calibrate between energetic and warmth and all these different ways, very cool. I think that's pretty epic. The auto HDR remaster toggle on a switch on and off, and it actually does something. Not as much as what Hisense was doing, but it definitely does something to give you those extra deeper black levels and expression of highlights. LG doesn't have that anymore. I don't know why they took away their HDR effect feature, which was back on the 8 series, so like the E8, B8, C8, things like that. They used to have an HDR effect feature back in those days, and I think it rode all the way up until the C10, and then they just, for no reason at all, one day woke up and said, let's rip it out of the TV. So I don't really know what the thought process was with that. But regardless, it's a good TV though, and I think personally, if I were in your shoes, I would go with the TCL QM8K. Just for the all-around premium experience, you will feel like a rich man, genuinely. Like outside you have like 5 Lamborghinis and 8 Ferraris. Like, you're gonna feel genuinely rich unboxing it. That feeling, I can't describe it. It's just like when you peel it back and you see everything all beautiful and elegant and high end, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Like that, the LG C4 is never gonna give you that. It just feels like a cheap stand on more cheap TV garbage with a cheap remote. You're not feeling like, hey, they rolled out the red carpet for you and you deserve it because you worked for it and paid for it. You know what I mean? So that's what I would recommend. How was it at an angle? It's okay. I mean, it doesn't light up like the 4th of July, but you definitely see some glowing off at an angle. So like if this was like, let's say, a night room TV or like a sports den TV, yeah, you're gonna have to get a big size, because if you don't, you're gonna see the glowing at an angle. If it's big enough, then everybody in the room can see the damn picture. But otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't want off angle to be glowing. And that for me, that's why I don't have it at like a bedroom TV, because the way I have my stuff set up, I'm always off at an angle and I'm always doing something. So I need viewing angles, which is why I have the QD OLED for my main TV where I need that. But otherwise, if I was just sitting dead center, I wouldn't mind. It wouldn't matter to me. QM8 versus S95B. That is not even a competition, the S95B for sure, brother. That TV is still an absolute champion. Thank you for all your videos. I ended up buying the S90D, and that's a total win of a TV, I tell you. Still catches my eye to this day. Thanks, no problem, brother. The picture settings are amazing. Thank you, I appreciate it. Are you doing an LG G5 next or Panasonic? Hold that thought. Shit, sneezing in here. That's the thing when you put on some freaking scented lotions because your hand gets dry, catches in the nose, and you start sneezing. But I'm leaning more towards LG if I'm being honest with you. But just another layer of transparency. I'm not really looking at these ultra expensive TVs. I'm just not. The reality is you're talking about TVs on one end, $3,200, $2,500, $2,100. Look, a lot of people can afford them. Most people cannot. And most people are going to be at this level of like the Tcl Qm8K or the Hisense U8, QG, or maybe even something like the Tcl 6 series or Hisense with their U6 series. A lot of people are not going to be investing $2,000 into a TV. It's just not likely going to happen unless they're going for a lot of screen size. Definitely not for the small sizes that they're asking for, like just for a 55 inch, which means 32 inches, or rather not 32 inches, 65 inches is going to be what, $3,200 across the board for these higher end TVs. People ain't spending that. And for that reason, I want to cover more ground where people can actually afford. So when you're looking, look, every YouTuber, I don't know why, in the AV space has this disease almost mentally where it's like only rich people exist. And outside of that, no one else matters. And they only review the most high-end flagship TVs. And that's great and cute, Hoss. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, bring it back down to reality, to some shit we all can afford. And all want to look at what our real options are. Like once we pull our head out of the clouds and say, okay, I'm not spending $3,000 to $5,000 on a TV, but I can spend anywhere from $1,500, maybe $1,000, maybe $1,700, close to $2,000, but not $2,000, just under $2,000, some more realistic. So I try to focus on TVs like the TCL, Qm8K, things like that, because again, I'm not here just to serve one financial demographic. I want to make sure everybody's covered. So honestly speaking, not really interested in the LG G5, especially because I know both the Panasonic and the LG are tandem OLEDs. And I know for a fact, the moment I review them, they're not going to perform differently from what the data chart says, because data pulls from the screen itself and from the television. It's telling you it doesn't have the color throw of a quantum dot. It's almost pointless for me to review it because the data is already there. Like people have already reviewed this, and all the data across every reviewer that has tools and equipment, the data has been exactly the same, and they all say the exact same thing. Like the color is not going to be QD OLED, and it's a slight upgrade from where we were. But if you have last year's model, it's not that big of a deal where you need to run out and go get it. That's been the general kind of vibe. And for that, I don't think there's a need for me to run out and view an LG G4 2.0. Some shit that probably could have been, maybe like a fucking patch. Who knows? I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, you can't do that with tandem OLED. There's a bit of a difference, but really, not excited. And Panasonic, not excited at all. They might as well not even make a TV, just like Vizio. I couldn't care less, right? So not really. That's not really what I'm looking to do for my next move. Would you get a soundbar with this TV? No, you don't really need one, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's always nice to have that extra sound, but if you're strapped for cash, or if you just want to save and maybe apply it to something else, like a nice fine dinner experience after you're buying a TV and you want to really feel like $1,000,000, like let's give you an ideal day, okay, that I'm talking about. You go out with your wife, maybe somewhere nice, not too fancy, like Cheesecake Factory or Olive Garden, the stuff we all can afford. You go out, you eat, all your belly's full. You're going to go to Best Buy, spend a little money, feel like a big baller, get a nice size TV. It's in the back, it's elegant and luxurious. The last thing you want to do after spending money, and then maybe, let's say you want to take your wife shopping or something after that, because you don't want to just be selfish and do for you want to do for her too. So you take her shopping, maybe you get something for the kids. Okay, after all the day of spending, you don't really want to have to come off all that money then having to need a sound system, but you could use one. The speakers, by far, one of the better ones I've heard on a television. The bass slaps hard, but not too overpowering. The vocals are clear, clean, and concise. Beautiful audio. They got it right. Nobody hardly ever gets it right. The only TV that even comes remotely close to this for audio is the Samsung S90D. Only TV that has really good audio where it shocked the shit out of you, where even still today, like, we'll forget sometimes to turn on our Bose speaker, and then freaking we'll be like, okay, what is that, the TV with that kind of bass? And it's like, yeah, that's the fucking TV. The S90D slaps, and the louder you put it, the better it gets. It's just a really good speaker quality. Weird as hell how you have more speakers like visually that you could see on the back of the TV of the S95, but it sounds like total horseshit. Don't know. But as far as the TCL, absolutely, I'd say that's the better TV to go for. Hello, I just bought the, what is it? I just bought the Qm8K, and that's all there is to that. Bro, can I subscribe to get your TV settings? Is there a link or a website? Yeah, just join right next to subscribe. Just click join and then you're good to go. Did I make a mistake by person in the wrong TV, but I guess purchasing the wrong TV, and I didn't have enough money to get the 8K? No, you don't need 8K. 8K is a joke at this point. Do you still have the S95B? I do not, unfortunately. Wish I did, though. I didn't have enough money for the 8K, I guess. Damn, it's 1:22 a.m. in the UK for me. Late night stream, haha. Hope you're doing okay and well. Sending love from the UK. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Always appreciate you guys staying up late and watching the stream with me. What's your top 85 to 83 inch TVs? Honestly, I don't like that size. I think 75 is the max that I personally would recommend. I don't like blowing up TVs to like projector sizes or stadium sizes. You can always do that, of course. I personally don't recommend it. So I don't have a top 80 plus inch. I say, again, for 70 plus, I would recommend something like the S95D all day, every day. That's my top recommendation there. Outside of that, I'd say then, yeah, you want to start looking at the TCL Qm8 series because the black levels are just legendary. They just are. They're fantastic. So that's what I'd say for those TVs. Hey Q, hope you and the family are doing good. Thank you, Isaac. We're doing good. I appreciate you. Reason I was asking is BJ's by me had the LG C4 for $15.99. Almost pulled the trigger. Glad I didn't. Thanks, Q. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with these sales too. Like, we're in our casual life, we walk around, we see a price tag, and we go, "Oh, that's kind of a good deal. Maybe I should get that one." But you have to remember, after everything's all said and done, you're stuck with that TV, and then you have to look at what's happening with content and things like that. And honestly speaking, I'll be very honest, I would never personally, I don't know what anyone else would do, I would never personally buy a TV that doesn't have quantum dots in 2025. I would rather, hear this is real, I would rather buy an entry-level quantum dot TV than buy an OLED OLED without any kind of quantum dots. I don't want no quantum dots in my television because there's a lot more I could do with quantum dots. There just is. Again, now some of the entry-level stuff, maybe not so much, because it's like if you go like ultra entry-level, like $200, you'd probably be a piece of shit. But if you go like, $500, $600, those quantum dots are absolutely hitting very vibrantly and very beautifully. And I feel like for that, you could get a really good picture. I mean, look at what happened with the TCL Qm6K. Perfect example. Beautiful quantum dot color, contrast, black levels were great. Great fucking TV. And I think a lot of people would be happy with that regardless. And then that gives you the headroom to get a massive size if you want and save on some money too without going broke. I think that's one of the beautiful things with this whole process. Quantum 65 S90D versus the QN90D. All of Samsung's QLED TVs, I wouldn't even waste my time on them. Consider them thrown in the trash. They have poor black level control. They have piss poor motion. And honestly, it's just not worth it considering the money you're spending is right in the S90D ballpark. And that's the pinnacle of TV. Get that TV. That's the number one recommendation. That was for the 77 inch. I mean, yeah, 1,500, give or take after taxes, probably a little over 1,700, close to 18 after taxes for a 77 inch. Sounds great on paper. And yeah, if you're just looking for a big screen, perfect. Why not? But I mean, if you're looking for one that gives you like that color that's going to last and is somewhere that you're going to be more than other rooms, then I would say invest a little bit into the quantum dot area for sure. I would love to get the Qm8K. Yeah, it's a great TV for sure. Hi Q, was thinking of buying the U8QG 65 inch. What do you think? I think you can't go wrong with that TV. I just haven't had the time to check if the black levels are so much better than, where they were on the 55 inch. I know there's a big difference clearly because one is a IPS screen. They call it ADS Pro, whatever. IPS, okay. And then the other is a VA panel, traditional VA, good, deep, inky black levels. Fantastic. but I don't know if that's going to be enough to clinch it. I haven't seen it, so I don't really know. We're again talking about the 65-inch. So I think it's a good TV though, overall, with what I know about the specs and everything I know about what the 55 did. If the crappier version could do good for me, I think the better version could do good. You know what I mean? How much better, that I don't know. What's up, Quantum? What's going on, brother? You said TCL 85-inch QM8K or S95 C77-inch, and we do have to bang the box on the floor like before. That's hilarious. I don't know if anybody even still remembers that, but yeah, that's funny. That's actually really funny. Um, for anybody that doesn't know, Chevy made what 1978 has been watching me since at least 2017, and I still every time I see the name remember him every single time. Just something you guys don't know. I pretty much will remember anybody who's active in this community for the number of years you've been active. And I think it's really funny because what he's referencing is back in the day, back in like 2017, Artings, believe it or not, for those who don't know, they used to come on camera and call themselves Artings, the way I'm saying it. And then they wanted to get all fancy with the wording and say we're ratings out of nowhere, just like a random like company shift, but they didn't add the A. So I will never acknowledge them past what they said day one and how I knew them back in 2012 when I first saw Artings. So it was like a guy, what was his name? Patrick something, right? I don't know. I forgot his name. He was the presenter. Go watch the old videos in their playlist. He'll pop up, trust me. That guy. And freaking it goes from that guy to like a bunch of different presenters, and then they, long story short, in 2017 had the Q7, I think it was at the time. And they were talking about the light guide plates were misaligned and they needed to do a way of adjusting it to bring out more nits out of the television. And Artings grabs the box of the TV. They had Daniel on one side, Patrick on the other, lifting the box. And they were like, 1, 2, 3, slam the box on the ground. 1, 2, 3, slam the box on the ground. I shit you not. And after putting the TV in the box and picking it up and slamming it on the ground a bunch of times, and they took it out and set it up and all that, they're like, oh, now the TV's got more nits. And this shit was hilarious to me. I rode them for fucking eons about it because that's not, dude, that is not how you get more nits. It was hilarious to me that was even a suggestion. This is how you get more nits out of your TV. Just slam the fucker on the ground. They went like so old school, like, you know, the tube TVs when they start flickering and fizzing and you go upside its head, you know what I mean? That's what they basically ended up doing. So I think that's one of those things that it was pretty comical back in the day. So that's what he's referencing. At least I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Chevy mate, but that's what it sounds like when you said drop the box on the floor. We had to bang the box like before. In your opinion, do you like as far as shadow detail and with more color gradients? Which do you like as far as shadow detail and color gradients? S95D. I'm not joking. Like, I hated that TV when I first saw it. I hated it. I was like, nah. No, I don't like the matte finish. No, I'm not feeling it. And then you dial it in and then you get it where it needs to be. And it's got shadow detail, it's got color, it's got brightness, it's got everything I wanted out of a TV. And I'm like, that's my TV right there now. And it's still to this day, even though it has a matte finish screen, it's been very hard to beat. I haven't found TVs that could dominate it in any which way, even glossy ones. So that's also been a really nice treat too. But yeah, that's the one I really rock with, the S95D. For anyone wondering, that's my TV of TVs right now, at least with what we have access to. If maybe down the road they change the technology and maybe decide to go back to glossy, maybe back to the days where we had triple black technology, maybe they innovate and do like quadruple black technology. Oh, that'd be a chef's kiss too. But we're not there yet. Guesstimate of 75-inch QM8K Black Friday price for 75-inch on Black Friday. I mean, if you figure the 65-inch will run $15.99 on sale, you have the 75-inch that will likely be like $199 on sale. Realistically, if you do that math, they always like to give themselves an extra $500 in either direction. That's usually how they do these things. I would guesstimate you wouldn't be paying too much more than $19.99 for a 75-inch on sale, and probably $24.99 regular price for the 75-inch variant, or $21.99. They love those prices for 75-inch TVs like that. So $21.99 or $24.99 regular price, and then on sale $19.99. That's what I would guesstimate. TCL Qm8K 2024 or nah, get the 2025 all day. get 2025 for sure. The enhancements in the sound alone will knock your socks off for sure. Where I don't know if anybody, by the way, at TCL is watching me. That's the thing. Like, I live in this weird world, okay? I'm gonna take a sip of this real quick, okay? You gotta have some Arizona when you do these live streams, okay? I live in a very weird world where, for whatever reason, literally everybody in the field, more or less, pretends like I don't exist. We're damn near at 100,000 subscribers, and they're still acting like I'm just some guy that just started a channel and has 200 subscribers. They refuse to acknowledge me, but they all watch me. And I mean, I get it. A lot of them have been criticized heavily, rode heavily by me, not understanding the reason why. I guess we could get into that later. If anyone wants to know the reason why, right, other YouTubers, ask, and then I'll give the answer. But until that, I'm not going to tell anybody, because I don't think it'll do any good if I tell anybody unprovoked, because what's the point? But the point being is that they pretend that I don't exist, but I feel like people, like corporate people, for example, product managers, product specialists, I feel like they're watching, because last year, specifically on the Tcl Qm8 regular for 2024, I was very specific. I said the audio sucks. You got Bang & Olufsen for nothing. It does nothing. The TV still sounds like shit. It's I was blunt, right? But then this year they come out and it's the best audio I ever heard. That was my only real major critique of that TV, is that the audio was horseshit. This year, the audio is like fucking S-ring. It's so fucking good. Like, you ain't gonna need, it reminds me a lot. You guys remember back in the day, you guys probably never heard of this TV. It was a Bose Video Wave, a TV that had a full-on Bose system inside of it. It's half as good as that. Now that to some people might sound like nothing. That's a massive statement, because before, TVs never sounded anywhere near this good. Don't get me wrong, it's a thick ass TV. I mean, it's thick for the 65-inch. It's like this thick, like 2.5, 3 inches thick. It's thick. But the speaker quality hits so hard that you can't help but love it. It's fantastic. And that, I think, is where TCL might be listening, because what would be the need to change the one major thing? And that's why I wish, like, if anybody, by the way, was smart enough to ever sit me down in a room at a corporation and be like, let us pick your brain. Give us those $1 million ideas that you have. You would see the best TV on the planet Earth emerge out of that partnership with me and that other person. Ideas like, instead of introducing like useless features like contrast enhancer or shit like that, why don't we do what us calibrators do and introduce percentages of windows? So you can increase the brightness on a 2% window, 1% window, 5%, 25, 50%, and the brightness can be increased for those windows. Let's say it's a TV that can't handle at, like, maybe let's say 25% window all the way to 100% window of brightness, and that's too much. Omit those and still let us change the brightness at will to the maximum level, so it never dims down on a 1% window or on a 10% window, and watch how people are blown away by that TV more than any other TV on the market. Because if you can find those small highlights and omit all other highlights and set a highlight limiter to only focus the brightness on this highlight, game-changing shit right there. Because you could say stars in the sky, I want them really bright. Lasers firing out of guns, I want them really bright. Fire scenes, I want them really bright. The sun in the sky, I don't care. Don't go crazy brightening that up. It'll wash out my picture. But focus on those small things like stoplights or car lights or headlights or laser beams, things like that. If we could get a percentage window, amazing. That's one of the kind of ideas that I have in this head to make a TV just go from like, to whoa. But you think they're listening? You think they're going to be smart enough to do what's best for their business to get the most amount of sales they ever had? No. Pride. It kills us all. But aside from that, let's move on with the questions. NG screen, because I want cheaper, brighter mini LEDs for gaming. I don't know what NG screen is. What's going on, Craig? Thanks for stopping by tonight. Did I make a mistake by buying the Qm8K? Yes, that is a mistake. I would go ahead and say that. I would say return it, get the Qm8K, period. The Qm7K, low contrast ratio that does not make any sense for it to be that low. It just doesn't hit as hard. The black control's not as good. The Tcl Qm6K was doing better for black levels when I did the side-by-side. It was ridiculous. I'm sorry. That's a hard pass. I'd have to pass on that one for sure. Sorry, man. Preach. Some people just want to hear about upper mid-range TVs, especially like the average person doesn't want to spend that much. QM7, U7, TCL, Hisense, good examples of what gets the job done. Exactly. Good evening. Love your channel. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. 75-inch 8QG or TCL Qm8K for gaming. I don't actually know any of those models. I think the 8QG is like the I don't know, U8QG. Too many letters, too many numbers. The 8 series this year, right? The U8. And the TCL QM9, that's a whole other thing I haven't heard. I'm on the QM8 right now. I don't know where the QM9 comes in. Maybe later this year or something. I just haven't seen anything on that particular model. Thanks for giving us settings. I'm really hoping you do settings for the S95B again. I really would, but I no longer have the S95B, so I can't do settings for that model. How can I obtain your settings for the QM8, brother? I obviously need that. Absolutely, brother. So I'm going to be posting what I have after I've mastered it. I like to do that first. Get them to a point where I look at it and I go, okay, I don't feel like in this particular moment I can push it that much further. And it gets my stamp of approval. Sometimes I get pressured and rushed by some of the members. They're like, I want it now. I want it now. I joined just straight for this and I have nothing and my TV looks like shit. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you the fast settings. And then you know what I hear sometimes? It really, really gets on my nerves. Some people go, the skin tones are too red or they're too yellow or they're too orange. I was like, I know that already. I was still working on them, but you said you wanted them now. So I gave you something so that you have something to eat with in the meantime to hold you over until the meal comes. And the meal's coming. And that's the thing, you know, so patience is always a good thing for those people, but we're going to get those settings out. I feel within the next day or two here, it's getting close to that, at least for SDR. HDR, I hate working with it. It's inconsistent, and we're going to have to see how HDR works on this specific TV. I got to take a day for just that alone. It's going to be literally like 24 hours of like literally just labor figuring out the quirks and everything it does for HDR. Not my favorite thing. But yeah, just join by clicking next to the subscribe button or hit me up in the comments and I'll shoot you a link. Love the no border. Love the no border. I don't know what that means. Classy? No border. I don't know what no border means. Hi, tomorrow I'm going to Best Buy to get a Sony soundbar for my new Sony TV, Bravia 3. So far, I'm loving the TV, but the sound could be better. What do you recommend? I mean, if you're going for a Sony system, I mean, but you're at a Bravia 3, so you probably are not trying to spend that much. Honestly, I'd say go in there with test content. I know it sounds crazy, but on your phone, download Bluetooth files of audio bites from your favorite movie, maybe like a podcast or an audiobook or something to hear how audio sounds. Go in with your favorite song. I think having a good array of songs is like what I like to do, have 3. You know, you have your jazz song, your easy listening, you have your hard rap beat, and then you have something that's like maybe a little bit more, you know, instrumental, like some indie music and things like that. And then you just kind of listen to it to hear how each soundbar in your price range performs, and then go pick the soundbar that works best based off of those parameters. And I think you'll win every single day of the week, because some things sound good for music, but shit for movies. And you have to be very careful that you're not just getting a bass monster for music, but then movies are crap. You know what I mean? But I think generally speaking, when you talk about Sonys, you have good performances just at the cheaper end with the Sonys. You have to crank them a bit more. And I don't really like the longevity of Sony speakers. They tend to pop and crackle a lot faster than some of the others, like let's say Samsung, for example. Sony, I can't stress enough, they are not really for audio. They make good audio, but not long term. Like it just, I have not had good experiences. I have 2 Z9F soundbars, you know, at the time, the top of the line that they had to offer. Not really impressed because they have weird connection issues from time to time. They still work, but it's dodgy. I can't wait to upgrade them. You know what I mean? And I don't want you to be stuck in that rut because, you know, you're buying Sony to match with Sony, to be with Sony. I would say do not be a brand loyalist. Take your dollars and expand to anything that sounds good, because at this point in this market, you do not get what you pay for, you get what you know. And hopefully this information is going to help you in some way. What's going on, Barry? Saw pics of the rainbow effect with interior lights on the room, or in the room with the TCL. Yeah, so the thing is, Anytime you have a glossy panel, more or less, you are going to have that rainbow effect. That is totally normal. It's a part of the anti-glare. It's not a big deal. People make it like a big deal. I honestly feel like in this day and age, people will find a reason to whine about nothing. They'll whine if you have anti-glare that's matte finish, that when a light hits it, it disperses and goes all over the place. They'll whine if it's a matte finish, period. They'll whine if it's glossy, but it has a rainbow effect when you hit it with a direct light like a flashlight or a cell phone light. People complain. The point is, I haven't had any issues with a TCL. I'm literally off angle looking at it, and I have a studio light right here. And you would think you would see that studio light, and I don't see shit. I literally, let's see if we can pan it over. No, that's left, pan it over right. I literally don't see anything at all. Do you? I see nothing. And it's literally in the vicinity, and I see nothing. So I think people, again, just like to complain to complain. I think it's a human being specialty. So don't take it with a grain of salt what people are saying about that. You should be fine as long as you're not shining flashlights in your TV. Thanks for being a real one with no fluff. Oh, no problem. Absolutely. I couldn't be anything else, my brother. 98 inches to 100 inches, $2,000 budget options. I don't really recommend those sizes, so I'd have to get back to you on that because those sizes a little too big, especially the 100-inch territory. Thanks for all the information, Q. Have a great night. I appreciate you. Enjoy your night as well. Which TV recommend 100 to 98 or what brand to buy? Again, that's still too big. I usually cut it off at 75 inches. 85 would be the absolute max I would ever say a person buy a TV at, but that's just me personally. I'm torn between the 65-inch LG 92A QNED Evo and the TCL Qm8K. What are your thoughts? QNED is absolute horseshit. Don't waste your damn time. Get the TCL. That's my thought. Honest to God, just do that. Do you think RGB mini LED will be a game changer or will it be overrated? Overrated. It's already overrated. They already want 30 bands, if you could believe. 30. Okay. For technology we have, wait for it, right now today. It's literally right there behind me. The Samsung S95F is a true RGB, and it's better than mini LED will ever be because it's 100% self-emissive. So it's a true RGB TV with quantum dots that's 100% self-emissive that can hit over 4,000 nits. Why are we talking about this mini LED garbage? I will never know. Everybody is hyping it up through these various companies. Oh, it's 116 inches. That's why it's such a big deal. And it's an RGB mini LED. And it's still going to have some blooming off angle. And it's still going to have the typical issues that you have with mini LEDs with not being self-emissive to where it's not going to be as clear as an OLED. And spoiler, the OLED behind me is not as expensive as that RGB mini LED. We are nowhere near the stratosphere of $30,000 for the RGB technology we have right now. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It truly is like, 16K all over again, 8K all over again. Like they're trying to push these things that will never be a thing. Like 8K TVs, people who bought them got duped. You're never going to see that content. It's not happening. They literally are trying to discontinue 4K Blu-ray players and all 4K physical media to put you on a streaming service to stream everything. Which, by the way, anytime you start streaming 4K or higher resolutions, it costs more money. And things start getting a little dodgy with the service, if you notice, right? Buffering more, shit like that, right? You need better internet, got to now upgrade, let alone 8K, which is double the fucking requirements. I mean, you know what I mean? So I would say no. I don't think RGB mini LED is a game changer. It's a gimmick. I really believe it's a gimmick. Do I think it would be beautiful? Yeah, sure. It's a beautiful display, but not $30,000 beautiful. I think they're out of their fucking minds. And don't even get me started on what Sony wants for theirs. Yeah, the fuck right. Nobody has $100,000 for a fucking TV outside of literally a CEO. And for that, if it's a CEO if it's a TV for CEOs, go advertise to them. Get off of the mainstream for everyday guys and gals to look at, because we're not taking out car payment type shit for a fucking TV. It's just nobody's paying $500 to $700 a month for a fucking TV. No, not happening. That's literally what I would say about that. I think it's totally overrated. Hey Quantum, I still have the Hisense H9G with your settings and it's beautiful, but now I want to upgrade. But I'm not sure if I should buy the TCL Qm8 2024 or the TCL Qm8K. Qm8K all day, brother. Trust me on that one. Quantum, which TV do you game? Hold on, let me read that again. Quantum, and which TV do you game? Primarily, my gaming beast right now is the S95D. I do pretty much everything on that, and when I'm not using that, I use my S90D. So it depends on my rig and which PC that I'm using, both high-end rigs, but you swap back and forth, and those are the two that I would use for that. Best two 75-inch TVs, mini LED for gaming, Tcl Qm8K and Hisense U8QG. By far, you're not going to find better than those two. I purchased a 98-inch Qm8K. It will arrive on Monday. I would love your calibration recommendations. No problem, brother. Just make sure you're joined and you got them. What do you think about? Oh, you meant to say think. What do you think about Samsung removing HGIG? I don't care or think it's a problem, really. I mean, yes, removing features, hypothetically speaking, always sucky, especially when they don't have Dolby Vision. Kind of stupid. However, I could argue that I don't use HDR at all because I think that whole thing is a gimmick. HDR from 2015, 2014, when it came out, 2015, is nothing but a gimmick. It's been nothing but a gimmick since. It will always be a gimmick because SDR looks every bit as beautiful. People won't believe me because they say it doesn't get as bright. Bullshit. You have a TV that hits 4,000 nits. Do you think it only gets 4,000 nits in that one mode and it gets nowhere near that in every other mode? You're full of shit. And that's the part where I look at something like, let's say, the TCL and SDR. The thing is a fucking light cannon. It is a light cannon. You will need to turn down the brightness. It's so bright. You will have cataracts and all kinds of eye problems if you do not turn that TV down. It is immensely bright. And when I look at a TV like that, I'm like, SDR is gorgeous. I don't have a problem. And I think more and more you're going to start to see that. So yeah, don't care about HGIG being missing. Random question. Normal chores and lifting my children? Not really anymore. That's the only weight that I lift these days. Q8FN or Tcl 8K? I don't recommend 8K TVs, so that's what I'd say there. But if it's a Qm8K, we could maybe work in a comparison between the Q8FN and see how it does against something older, but it all depends on timing and things like that. What's your favorite what's one TV feature / setting that you would fix most, or that would fix most TVs from being trash? Ooh. I mean, straight away, one TV setting or feature that I've seen on every TV, eco. Just stop using it. It dims everything, makes no fucking sense. Immediately, everything is way more trash than it needs to be. We always turn it off. I'll give you a bonus. Another feature that is totally trash and would stop most TVs from being trash, if they could just be fixed, the contrast enhancer features or dynamic contrast. Fix that shit. I don't know who or what broken pencil bastard at all of these companies agreed that when you go, like, let's say on a Samsung, you go to high on dynamic contrast or contrast enhancer, whatever they use for whatever TV. Okay. That clipping, literally blowing out your highlights, is what everybody wants to see. You're an idiot. You're literally an operable idiot, like a useful idiot. Like, how do you have an engineering degree? You're engineering a product. You got up into the big leagues working for Samsung, and you put the most horseshit feature in there ever. I would fire everybody. Everybody would be hungry. Everybody would be breaking the bad news to their family, looking at their children crying and saying, I failed you. Because I would fire everybody involved in that. Because you have one job. Make the feature usable. And it's unusable on everything. Just like the BFI features in a lot of them. Usually called clear motion, right? The little flickery shit like in every Samsung TV and most other TVs. Fortunately, TCL got it right this year. Swing, we win. But other companies like Sony, it's flickering most of the time. Some Sonys have it, some Sonys don't. I would fire everybody. Burn it. Start over. Scorch earth. Because those features need to be fixed. ASAP pronto. For sure. That and they're like color boosting features that just oversaturate the fuck out of everything. How about actually intelligently map colors and where they are and see where they need to be based off of an algorithm? Because, hey, we're in the age of AI, and if you have an AI cognitive processor, why not use AI to do the calibration on the back end? Wouldn't that make more sense? Duh. But no, I'm just way too ahead of these TV engineers, I guess. I mean, really, at this point, what else could it be? Because I don't want to say that they're stupid, because you have an engineering degree, you might want to figure that out. But as you can tell, stuff like that really vexes me because I could go on all day about that. So I'm just going to digress by moving on to the next question. 100 or 98-inch $2,000, any budget? I don't have any recommendations for that at this time. Q8FN is a great TV. Color reproduction and motion handling will be better than the TCL, but the black level performance of the TCL worlds better on, or will be worlds better on the TCL. Yeah, I would definitely probably say something like that. I would challenge the motion handling part on the Q8FN though, because it did have kind of crappy motion. TCL is better than that. But I would say for the Q8FN, my guess, color is going to dominate and blow it out of the water along with contrast. Those two things, not touchable. But everything else, especially like the clarity, Q8FN, forget about it. This TV, not anywhere near that ballpark, and I think that's something that people probably don't know going into it. But the black levels by far is where you make up that difference, because that's where you'll start gaining. Bro, thanks for personal attention you give us with these live chats. Shows you care about us. Much appreciated. Of course, I mean, I really do try to answer everybody as fast as I can. And again, if you leave a comment, you're going to get an answer, because look, the one thing that a lot of YouTubers don't understand is that, like, we are a community, right? Like, I have 95,000 subscribers. And when I say that, I don't say that like, haha, look at me, I have 95,000. No, I say I have 95,000 subscribers, meaning I'm a community leader. Like, I'm not your boss. I'm a leader. I'm telling you, hey, this is the direction you should go. Maybe follow the leader and I'll hook you up and it'll be good information. I'm capable and chosen by you. You've selected me to do this leading thing. Let me lead you in the right direction and keep you from, making a decision that you don't want to make. That's the whole thing. And when I see people who trust me to subscribe and come onto the community and everything, that's where I give the attention, because it's like, look, you guys are the only reason why Quantum TV has a name at all, any fan base at all, in anything. And the way I know that, every celebrity, every YouTuber, anyone in a public figure position needs to know this. You are not a big deal. You are there to help people. And if you are no longer useful, there are a million other people that could take your place. I mean, look at the world. Look at everybody who's ever come before. You think there's never been another public figure? There's never been another celebrity? There's never been another politician? But that's why I don't get why people get in these positions and they think that they're God. It's like, you're a person. Calm the fuck down. I guarantee you 10 guys can replace you right now. You're not that special. And that's why I never, wear that chip on my shoulder, that ego, like, oh, I'm the big deal. It's like, dude, I'm a guy that knows really well about one topic and use it to help people. So I do appreciate you acknowledging and seeing that I do give that care and that attention to detail to my community members, because you guys do matter to me. Absolutely. I treat you like I treat my own family, because at the end of the day, you trust me to give you the good information, and that's what I'm going to do. So moving on to the next question. I'm happy with my Sonos play bass with two sub 3s. I use a Yamaha YSP 4000 soundbar. Look it up. Crazy technology. You won't find anything like it on the market today. In spectacular highlights. ABL is so annoying on OLEDs. That's what stops me from buying. Gave back my C1 and A90J because of the dimming. Does the S90F have aggressive dimming? Q. No, not like the A90J, and definitely not like the C1. They are worlds brighter, and I mean worlds brighter. The S90F in my testing was well over 2,000 nits of brightness, and it maintained an average of 1,100 nits for most things. It is wildly bright, and if you come from a C1 to an S90F, you are going to notice that brightness immediately. You're so much to the point where you're going to be like, I want to turn this shit down. It's a bit too bright. Trust me. The days of that where stuff comes on the screen and it's just boom, totally dim. That's kind of over now. That's what I love so much about QD OLED. They perform a lot closer to LEDs. Not always, but they have a lot more of those tendencies for sure. How are the black levels on the Qm8K? They're damn spectacular. I'll make a video probably shortly after this showing that, because I already have it made. I just need to publish it. But yeah, I'll show that off and you'll see what I'm talking about. Do you have settings for the QN90D? I'm sorry, I do not. What TV would you recommend for PC Flight Simulator S95D? Does you settings have what? Does you have settings for the QN90D? No settings for the QN90D. What are your thoughts on rear speakers on soundbars? I mean, cool at first, but kind of pointless. A lot of it is like you lose signal, it crackles, it's not great. I mean, it's immersive, but they usually don't last. I've never seen, and I've had a few of them where those speaker pairs last. They just die before the system. And in some cases, like with the Vizio that I bought in 2016, the whole system is useless without those speakers sending the signal and working together. It sucked because I just bought it like literally a year and it died on me, which was the last time I ever bought anything Vizio. It literally, like, at least as far as sound and everything like that outside of a review. But yeah, you will be awesome at it. Q8FN or Tcl8K, what are your thoughts? I think I already had that one. Pre-shootout show. May I ask, are your calibrations, wait, may I ask, are your calibration settings? I don't understand that question. Gonna be this, okay, it's like a broken up two-part question, okay. Gonna be the same for the 98-inch Qm8K. They should be, as long as they don't use like an IPS and it's still the same WHVA panel, you should be just fine. And since it's a big selling feature this year, I imagine they'd keep it the same. Hold on to your Q8FN. That's a really special TV. There's no good reason to upgrade it to a TCL mini LED. You'll sacrifice a lot just to gain a bit better black level performance. I kind of agree with that for sure. It's not overrated. I took science, buddy. I will challenge you to no end. 100,000. That's a down payment on a house territory. Yeah, exactly. By the way, this is a grown man. I don't understand. You're the best. You're the best, mate. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you. Thank you. Quantum, love your channel, but no need to spreading info without testing. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't understand the aim of that. It's like there's no need to give an opinion without first running a bunch of tests. I mean, look, I'm a professional, okay? I've done this far longer than most of the YouTubers you could even dream to think to want to watch or start supporting. And the reality is, I have seen data charts, I know how to read them, and you don't need to, okay, let me explain it another way. Let's say 1 + 1 is 2, right? You plug an equation in, you type in 1 + 1 is 2, because you're asking Google, how much does this equal? It says 1 + 1 is 2. Do you need to go to the calculator to find out 1 + 1 is 2 if you have the results in the mathematical equation that says 1 + 1 is 2? No, because 1 + 1 is 2. Well, the same way, if you look at an EOTF chart or you look at a spectral power distribution chart, you can see what a TV is doing, and you do not need to review it to know quantifiably how it performs. You don't need that because you have the education to read those charts and assess that data. Data does not lie, people do. And the reality is, if it tells you, and even the people who got that data are kind enough not to lie to you and say, hey, it's not QD OLED territory. Like, for example, with tandem OLED. You don't need to review it. And the same thing with mini LED technology. Self-emissive technology is important because it's self-emissive. It comes on its own. And if it's RGB mini LED, you don't need to review it. You know how it's going to perform. It's never going to beat an OLED. It will come very close. And it will be a beautiful experience and great, but not $30,000 great, not $100,000 great. That's micro LED territory. And I think anyone who's paying those premiums for something like that is a bit stupid, because how could you know that there is something truly better like QD OLED on the market and you waste your money profoundly on something just because it's new? I don't understand it. And that's where, I mean, hey, respectfully, I'll agree to disagree, but I think I've been doing this long enough to read data charts and understand information, and I don't need to review everything. I can read and assess information and relay it because that's what the charts are for. Is burn-in a concern on today's OLEDs? No, but dead pixels are. Dead pixels like a motherfucker are definitely going to be something that you're going to run into again and again. We want the QM8L in 2026 now. If you're, I don't know, ACEO, all broken up. That was a weird way to write it. ACEO, when are you going to have the freaking time to even watch TV? Oh, yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of CEOs are just busy. So that kind of is another question too. If you're really that rich, I mean, I guess it's maybe for your kid to watch, but even still, I don't know. There's a lot of rich guys just stay hunting money all day. That's a good point. Touche. You kind of killed that whole market before it even began, for sure. 65-inch S90D or LG G4 or something else. I would say S90D. That's what I would recommend. Shout out to Barry B. I'm gonna mess your name up. I'm gonna say Barry B. Thank you for your donation of $5, or $500. I don't know if you actually meant to do that. I don't know if you meant to do that at all. If you didn't, then I would say reach out to Google and try to get it corrected to the $5 if it was like supposed to be just a quick $5. But if it was 500, damn, I appreciate you. That's a lot of love, man. To answer your question, you said, do you feel that any TCL or Hisense mini LED that I would buy today would compare to a top of the line backlit Sony TV from 2020? 100%. Absolutely. Because this technology is essentially the same and they are improving in different ways. Micro lenses, the size of grains of rice to give you better backlights, and LEDs that are really tiny and everything. Like it's getting there. And from what I've seen out of this TCL alone, the Qm8, beyond what I saw out of the Sony Bravia 9 in my time reviewing it, I wanted that moment with the Bravia 9 where it gave me a reason to upgrade my living room TV. I wanted it so badly. Never happened, but with this, I have that. And I'm like, brought the wife in, showed her it, and the first thing she says, wow, that's really nice. That's really nice. So I think you're gonna love it. I really, really do. And again, shout out for your donation of $500. I, honest to God, think that's the most I've ever gotten donated ever in the history of this channel. So yeah, massive, massive thanks to you, brother. It really does help us with the operations here and doing what we do and keeping it independent. So really, seriously, thank you. That was like a huge help. But if it was accidental, definitely let me know, because I don't want to be that guy. Let's go to human eyes are most best in a colorful room, not in a pitch black room. That is true. I know that it is definitely better for that. VR Chandler, what's going on? I hope I'm saying that right. Chander, what's going on? Hi, Quantum. If budget is not a concern, would you get a Sony reference monitor for comparison? No. The reason I wouldn't get a Sony reference monitor for comparison is because they use the Judd Voss white point, and the Judd Voss is targeting the CRTs. CRTs are those old monitors we threw away. Did a video on that. But more importantly, they're just way too blue. Now that we know that the Judd Voss is, it's somewhere in the ballpark of anywhere from 6,800 Kelvin to 6,700 Kelvin. 6,500 Kelvin was already really, really blue. 10,000 Kelvin, I think, is like the bluest light that you could get. And they're trying to push it closer to the bluest light you could get. We don't really want that. We want it to be a bit more tungsten or orange or red or, yellowish than that. So I like to find that balance. I would even settle for like maybe 5,600 Kelvin, 5,700 Kelvin. I think that should be the industry standard, not the Judd Voss going even bluer than the already blue, too blue, where skin tones start looking pale and flushed and, magentas turn purple. Like, that's not what we need. So no, I don't find Sony's reference a reference. Now, full transparency, back in the day, I used to work for Sony, which is where I get a lot of this video knowledge from, especially when I would look at their reference monitors. Back in the day, they were actual reference monitors. Like they were really good. And I remember it was like, they had one that was really, really good. It was from like 2006. It was their first OLED monitor. It was really, really dope. Nobody could get their hands on it, really. But that kept coming out into production for trainings and things like that. And we got to see how beautiful it was. And it was great for the first OLED that they did. And then technology advances and everything like that. But I just want them to keep with what they were best at. Back in 2013, I think, is Sony's golden era, like kind of like a debut party for them. They had the most beautiful, and I'm not joking, beautiful quantum dot color I think I'd ever seen in my entire life. I think in my entire life. Because what ended up happening was they positioned that backlight technology so well where they're like, hey, here is the deal with Triluminos. Triluminos is all about backlight technology where we are controlling red, green, blue, green. There is no white light, red, green, blue, green behind quantum dots, which is what makes it so vibrant and so beautiful, and you have to see it to believe it. And we were doing demos left and right, and it was an amazing time. I really, really wish Sony would get back to that Sony, because that's the Sony I'm excited for. If they came out like that, I'd be jumping up and down like everybody else. I think that would be like the most amazing thing out there. No, not 500. Yeah, I kind of figured I would reach out to Google for sure. I would definitely say, hey, guys, that was a bit of a typo. I mean, I kind of recognize typos where typos exist. I don't have, just for the record, any part in the like back end stuff where they deal with billing and all that. I'm a YouTuber. They don't give me that power. So you have to reach out to Google and say, hey, did not mean to do 500. I meant to do this amount. I have no power over that. I cannot stress that. But I do thank you for trying to donate and send a super chat. So yeah, if it was not supposed to be 500, I could only imagine that's like a holy shit moment. Yeah, I would definitely like call them like ASAP pronto and be like, hey, no. Either that or like I would cancel my bank card, do a stop payment, I don't know, retro charge. I don't know what they call them. I would try to find a way to reverse it if it's definitely like a typo for sure, because that, yeah, I'd be freaking out too. Thank you, Christian Conservative, for your donation of $5. It really does help us out. You said, is it cool? I'm sorry. Is cooler colors better for real life? For example, driving with cooler headlights, or wait, driving with cooler color headlights. Um, so cooler is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's better for like certain applications. Like again, of course, like nighttime driving for sure. Cooler lights have a higher blue wavelength and than a tungsten light, obviously, which is just too orange or too yellow, and you're not going to be able to penetrate as much, and they don't really cover as much. Where those blue LED lights, you've been behind even the trucks and everybody blinding you. You know that's what it's supposed to do. It's good for illuminating things. That's why stadiums use them, amusement parks, everywhere you've ever been where it's really, really pitch black, they always have a blue or white looking light, but it's really a blue light. And cool lights really generate a lot of light, and that's the whole purpose for it. But the problem is, TV manufacturers want their TVs to be bright like those construction lights, but they're not really factoring in that you need warmer light to open up and unlock natural pageantry. So you need to find a balance and a mix of both. They just say, screw it, let's go as blue as we can get, since we notice that everybody's jumping on board with this nit range thing, because it's literally impossible to have the warmest light possible, but a fuck ton of nits at this point in time. So the only way to do that is with a really, really, really cool light source, and then you get a bunch of nits, and that's how it happens. That's why they tell you after you calibrate, your nits will drop, because you're taking away the blue wavelength, which brightens up things to a monstrous level that's just not realistic. And that, my friend, is what I would say is, yeah, not great, but we're still trying to find that balance for sure. Shout out to Mr. Henrik San. Thank you for being a member for 41 months. I appreciate you, brother. You are a VIP of VIPs for sure. You say, sup, Henry, sup, Q Henry here. You said, how much could you get of the QM8K with HSL BT 2020 in SDR if you had the option? Oh my gosh. Dude, it would be the best TV ever. I'm not going to lie. If I had HSL BT 2020 in SDR, nothing would touch that TV. That's how good the black levels are alone. Like, I'm confident. If I could go in and tune just right with a BT 2020, I'll even settle. I would even settle for Adobe RGB. I could rock and roll with that. But you know, like this, they just need to get there. And I wish they would get there, because that would be really something. It really would. I trust Quantum will fix it. Well, I'll definitely do my best to make the QM8K look good. That's for sure. Hey, Quantum, is it worth getting a PS5 Pro if you have a PS5? Okay, personal opinion, fuck no. No, don't let them do you like that. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Where are the games for PS5? I haven't seen anything to take advantage of what I already paid for. I mean, I've seen a handful of stuff. I'm still waiting for my Wolverine game. That's why I bought the damn thing. And they've been like whisper quiet on that. I'm like, okay, time. I want my Wolverine game. You know, not only that, but like, I'm a PC gamer. I don't know your personal situation. You have a PS5, so that alone, you know what I mean? But for me, I'm a PC gamer, okay? Why would I buy another PlayStation ever when I know it's a matter of time before, literally through PlayStation, you know, LLC or whatever on Steam, they're going to give all their exclusives to us anyway. We're going to be able to mod and do crazy shit in the game like I've already done to countless of my games. Like, why would I give up the freedom and power of mods for a lockdown version of the game that's not going to look resolution-wise as good and texture-wise as good? I wouldn't. So I get better textures, better graphics, everything. But then let's talk about PS5. Just PS5. No PC. PC's out of the equation. PS5 to PS5 Pro. No, because they haven't even delivered on the core aspects of what makes PS5 good, to the point of now they roll out the PS5 Pro. They don't have to do that nasty little thing I've seen on some of those video games where they'll have extra resolution options, and they'll say, oh, that's locked for PS5 Pro. It's a way to segue and to try to sell you. And the way I've noticed that they do that, they scale back on the ambition of the PS5 and what it was truly capable of by making it look shittier, so that you, oh, I guess I gotta go buy the PS5 Pro to get those extra resolution options. I'm like, yo, fuck you guys for that. Because this machine is fully competent and capable. You just want money. Because, you know, Sony, again, has not been doing that great. And they had to cancel VIO, and they've had to do a bunch of other things that go in the scheme of common sense, indicating a decline. Like, again, once on your flagship QD OLEDs, for example, you're offering a metal premium remote, and you scale it down to plastic, and you take away the Bravia cam. That's cost-cutting measures, and you're doing that because you're struggling. And if you're struggling, you're struggling. And that's the thing. So that's what I would say there. Damn, that's higher than that's higher than OnlyFans. You're funny. I have no idea what it's like. Quantum, you surpassed that. That's funny. Which TV I buy, a Hisense U8QG or Tcl Qm8K? I honestly, I'd say for color, go Hisense. For everything else, literally TCL. That's what I would say in that regard. My X900E is outdated. Is my X900E outdated for PS5? It doesn't do VRR. So, I mean, shit, if I still had my 900E, oh, I'd still be rocking that shit. One of the best TVs ever. Miss it sorely. Yeah, okay, it doesn't have the greatest color that would keep up with some of the TVs today, but man, that motion is legendary. The contrast blows every Sony LED ever made after that point in time away. I've yet to see anything do as good as that, and I miss that TV. Oh, that fucking bitch. I gotta say that. I just had an organic moment, you know, ex-wife smashed your shit, and you're like, you fucking bitch, you broke my shit. Yeah, they do that. But it's okay though. I have a great wife now, so I don't have to worry about any of that shit. But damn, you'll be sorely missed my 900E. I miss you, my 900E. Oh well, that's over. But no, in all seriousness, it is a great TV. I think it's a fantastic one. I think you'll love it. And I think even if it doesn't have VRR, you don't need it. I mean, really, come on, man. It's great. Does the S90F have better motion than the S900E? Fuck no. Nope, not gonna happen. No, I'm telling you, the 900E motion is like the best motion I've ever seen on any TV ever. Literally ever. I think there was only one TV that came close, and that was the JS7000. That TV had legendary motion. Best motion almost ever, because for whatever reason, when they use a native refresh rate for the panel of 60 hertz, and then they slap 120 on top of that, motion is fluid as fuck. It's so good. It's so good you want for nothing. It's beautiful. But it's when they start doing all that fancy shit, oh, 144 hertz plus 240, or and they try to go way, way, way above. It's like, no, all that shit doesn't look good. But when you go 60 hertz just up to 120, beautiful. I wish they could patch that in for all TVs and give us that option. Run at a 60 hertz base and then upscale and stop and limit it to 120 hertz on the motion interpolation, and we would win. We would win. Another TV I would have to say that did that was the Hisense H9F. And man, was that shit beautiful too. And all you heard was all these YouTubers bitching. Oh, it doesn't have 120 hertz, it's worthless. Oh, it's only 60 hertz, we don't want it, we don't want it. And what happened? What happened? They took it away, and now Hisense since has not had good motion. Their motion is actually horseshit, comparatively even to TCL, which is why TCL is probably going to be my living room TV. But yeah, I love that sweet soap opera effect when I'm gaming too, my brother. I know. Bravia 9 is greater than the QM8K. Sony remains king. I mean, hey, that's your personal prerogative, but if we look at facts, that ain't the case at all. Sony has been going down for sure. Feel like the U8QG has better colors compared to the QM8K. And yeah, I would say that's definitely it. Still praying for you to do the Bravia 8 Mark II settings. I mean, maybe, but I want to cover stuff everybody else has. I've seen so much side by side in compared to PC gaming. Yeah, side by sides are pretty dope with PC gaming. Are you able to record videos in 4K HDR and upload it in full resolution? So when we watch YouTube, we are able to do it with 4K 60. I can. Those videos are massive, and I'm sorry to say I'm not going to sit through a 50 gigabyte video upwards to 100 gigabyte video waiting for that process. Not going to happen. That is just too much. Way too much. I'll shoot it in 4K and leave out the HDR part. because that shit ain't important. What I like to do is I like to shoot it in 4K HDR, right? So I have all the stops, the dynamic range stops, right? And I capture all that data onto the image sensor. Then I take that big file and I wrap it in an SDR container. It still holds all the dynamic range data, but I'm just not wrapping it in HDR for an HDR monitor. I'm making it viewable on SDR, which is a very normal tactic, which is why Hollywood movies look so beautiful sometimes when you watch, especially some of the newer Marvel films, and you're like, wow, what did they film this with? They're using HDR and putting it in SDR so you can see it on your SDR screen, and I like to do that. Just looking at like HDR to SDR conversions and things like that. I mean, DaVinci Resolves have all these transformer models and things you could use. Point being, I'm not doing that much work. That is way too much work and way too much time that I do not have because I have small children and I have a life and I cannot be doing that, especially when the information is not going to change. I figure just listen to your presentation or your presenter and you'll get the truth for sure. After you manage to pull out some good settings for the Samsung S95F, do you think there is any hope for the S90F given more time with it? I mean, honestly, it's a budgeting thing, right? So like, because I'm independent, I don't have sponsors throwing everything at me or people, saying, hey, trick your subscribers, put a bunch of affiliate links to my store and I'll hook you up with free TVs for life. Like, I don't have that hookup, right? So for me, I've got to be like everybody else. I got to buy it. I got to see if it's going to make money. If it makes money, then I can put back into the channel. Then I can go and buy more units. If not, then I have to sell TVs at a loss on Facebook Marketplace usually. And I mean, buy a lot. And I lose a fuck ton of money. And it's like you almost have to lose a lot of money before you gain anything. And by the time you gain, you put it back. And so you almost balance out. Sometimes you'll make just a little extra profit and not a lot, in which case you roll it back into the channel for another overly expensive TV like the Bravia 8 Mark II or, you know what I mean, like the LG G5. And there's a lot of expense with this job if you're not going to be a shill. And I don't do the shill thing, so it's very expensive. If you could imagine in everyday life, you're living your everyday life, you take out $3,000, put it on a TV. And you review it. Well, I love how like people think like you could just return TVs. You cannot do that. Your accounts will get flagged, they will get banned, they'll get shut down. And in the early going of my career, I would try to buy and return. That doesn't happen. So when they don't take it back from you, what do? Well, you sell it. You go on Facebook, you sell it. You say, hey, look, I got this brand new TV. I'm going to give it to you at a discount. And then sometimes you have to pull rank. You go, I'm Quantum TV. You have a YouTube channel. Here. I dialed it up for you. It's gonna be perfect. Pay the premium for that. And they go, oh shit, really? Okay. And then you go meet them somewhere at like a police station or some shit. You know what I mean? It sucks, but this is life. You know what I mean? And this is what you have to do to stay the independent voice. And it's a lot of work. A lot of guys won't even admit that to you. They'll put shit on a credit card. They'll max shit out. They'll fucking do whatever they got to do. They'll pretend like this is an expenseless job. It's not. Very expensive to do this. But like, you'd be easier off doing phones than this. So when you say you get the S90F, I would love to. I would love to have every TV. If somebody could give me every TV, I would make every TV look amazing and everybody on earth would win. But that's a lot of money. Or a lot of connections, which means you have to do a lot of favors, which usually means you have to bend in your moral character and be very skeezy and market for them above telling the truth about the product. And I can't do that. My conviction with God won't let me do it. I can't do it. I can't be a liar. And I can't throw you under the bus or your family under the bus and have you buying just for the sake of my sponsor. I can't do it. The only people I ever work with are people I believe in that we have common goals. If you've noticed, I only really work with like GoV. It's because they're not like that. They're not like, oh, you must shill and lie for every little thing and do this and do that. No, they let me give honest reviews. And that's why we work so well together, because I give honest reviews and I love the products anyway. I use them on everything. My whole house is lit up with GoV, literally. Like party time over here, you know what I mean? And that, I think, is important to note. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But I do think I could do wonders with it, though. I'm not going to lie. Hey, bro, I would like your advice. Bro, what's up? What do you got? You said advice, not vice. No, I know what you meant, bro. You're good. The Qm8K might not even come out this year. Yeah, I don't even know if it will. The RGB 116UX is confirmed 95% BT 2020. And hey, that is an impressive figure for sure. Absolutely. Still ain't gonna pay a house for it though. Or at least a nice car. Can't lie though, the removal of 4K Blu-ray drive PS5 Pro is useful if you buy Blu-ray discs. If your Blu-ray drive fails, you can easily replace it. I guess so. I'd rather it all come all in one. That's my kind of thing though. Quantum, it's true though. Hey, 500 in Snap. That surpasses in a Snap. That surpasses OnlyFans. You'll be surprised. Some of those OnlyFans people make headlines for being multi-millionaires. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about that though. But come on, you can't equate YouTube to freaking OnlyFans though. I mean, I know it's a joke, but still, I'm not over here like shaking my ass or anything, or like, hey, who wants to see a fucking, no. We're not doing that. But we are giving advice. I mean, so it's always good to have the support too, HDR to SDR conversions. What if they did that with TVs? That would change the game. That's what I've been saying. If they took the HDR thing and said, hey, we're going to do HDR to SDR conversions on everything, and they rode with it and they perfected it from the time of 2015, well, really 2016, because Samsung was the first with HDR Plus. If from HDR Plus everybody else followed suit and everybody stuck with that, we would have the best TVs right now. We really would, because SDR, when you try to give it more juice, shines. It really does. And I wish more people caught on to what you know, brother, because you are ahead of the game entirely. Psalms 137:9, please read. If I was a betting man, which kind of am not, I'd imagine you're saying something to the effect of me and the way I speak, and I shouldn't cuss, and I should just be whatever you imagine. I will say whatever the fuck I want unapologetically, and that will not change with my relationship with God. And if you can't handle that, there's the door. I'm a grown ass fucking man. Nobody's gonna police me and what I say when I say it, how to talk, how to walk on eggshells to make you feel comfortable because you can't handle adult language that you use in your daily life. Check and mate. Moving on. Appreciate the feedback. There's nothing not being a shill and keeping it authentic for sure. I went from Q8FN to LG C1. Now I want to upgrade something else, and you're between the TCL, Samsung, and you're looking for the best quality, and you're looking for movies. Honestly, though, I would say if you can swing it, though, I'll be very honest with you, try to go with the freaking Samsung S90D before they sell out, because it's a great TV. How are you enjoying the Nintendo Switch 2 that your wife got you? Well, shit. I'm fucking loving it. It's great. Mario Kart's freaking is harder than fuck. That's the one thing. Mario Kart's is always hard. But other than that, no, it's been great. I can't complain. The screen, how big it is and how nice it is. Oh, I love it. The kickstand. It's a chef's kiss. Was not expecting that. A great surprise indeed, She comes home with it. She's like, oh, I got this for you. You're like, oh, shit. All right. I love it. Let's enjoy that. It seems a lot of people want to know, should they go with the U8QG or the QM8? Yeah, I know. That's pretty much the number one question I've been getting. And honestly, it really, for that question, boils down to this. You want color, Hisense. Everything else, brightness that's consistent across all models, black levels that are consistent, motion, audio, literally everything else, the presentation, the premium feel, TCL. Hisense is lacking behind that. And a lot of people would take a little hit for the color and the clarity to get the rest of everything else. I'm falling into that a little bit more, especially for a living room TV, and especially because I'm fairly certain I can get it there. I know I can do it if I just sit there with it long enough. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Are you ever going to get the LG G5? I mean, it's on the list. It's timing, you know what I mean? What's wrong with being raw? I only see you doing that. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people are allergic to being themselves, I guess. I couldn't do the whole fake person thing. Samsung QLED that competes with TCL Qm8, none. And your preference, I would say there's not. Samsung is not. They focus on more expensive TVs. They don't really focus on competing. And that's basically more or less gonna have to be the live stream right there, because I do have to get back to my children and my wife. But I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate everybody who just became a member tonight, everybody who joined. I really appreciate it. For Barry, you said you didn't mean to do 500. I imagine it would be more like $5 you probably meant to do. I would get with Google on that and talk to them and try to figure out like what the fuck, because they don't give me billing options. I have no power over billing. I wish I did. I'd be like, oh shit, my bad, here, refund. I don't have that button. It don't exist. It's record. That's all they give me the power to do. I'm in their eyes, nothing. They will control everything, and that's just what it is. So yeah, I do feel you on that, brother. Sheesh, 500. That's a lot of fucking money. Like, damn, that's a lot. But I appreciate it nonetheless for the attempt to support the community, even if an accident was made. For, you know, the Christian conservative, I really thank you as well, brother. You're always supporting the community, always helping out here and there with a few bucks here and there. I appreciate you and everybody else that stops by and watches and participates actively in the community. Love you guys. You guys are fantastic. Until the next time, we're going to have a live stream. If you guys through the week ask questions or put in the community tab, fastest way you'll get me to respond or see something is a community tab. Because YouTube's still doing this thing, by the way, where they're holding my comments. Even though I have allow all comments, every comment still gets held from 2022 when everybody was trying to cancel me, okay, over the Elden Ring video game bullshit. They're still holding all my comments even when I'm like, hey, let everybody through. Even the negative comments, let them through. And I have to approve one by one by one by one. So you can imagine that's a lot of time, and that's how a lot of your comments get missed. So community tab, that doesn't really happen, oddly enough. So put your comments there, and I will do my best to answer them the best that I can. Recommend stuff. If you want to see stuff for next week's live stream, I'll do what I can to answer your question. This is your time, and this is where we answer all those questions. So I appreciate all you guys for stopping by. Yes, 1300 is a good deal for the S90D. Run, don't walk to do that. That is fantastic. And yes, effing YouTube, because seriously, guys, just let the comments through. It's been, what, 2-3 years already? Let it go. Let it go. I don't care. If they want to call me a fucking woman beater, or they want to call me a narcissist, I don't care. Dude, I wouldn't be married again within under a year if all that shit was true. I'm a great guy. I'm a God-fearing man. I don't care what people say. I have conviction. I'm right with God. I only care about his opinion about me, okay? I'm good. I'm really good. YouTube, let everybody through. That would be great. If you guys could petition them to do that and get them to do that, hey, we win. But until then, comments are probably going to be missed. But that being said, I'm going to go spend time with my wife. I'm missing my lady, and it's time to go say hi. That being said, thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and for all you guys that came out tonight. God bless you. God bless your families. Be safe out there. People are crazy, and enjoy your weekend. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.